that just all of that actually happening in a year's time that was unthinkable. But the reality is it all has had, and it's like a giant Jenga puzzle, right? You pull one piece out, everything else collapses. Well, what Trump has done is in Latin America, in the Middle East, he's pulled out the piece of the puzzle that's made everything else kind of fall apart. And in the Middle East, it was always Iran. Iran was the great destabilizer of the region. It was the nuclear threat. It was the threat to rain down ballistic missiles on anybody that messed with it. It was unleashing its surrogates to attack its enemies and keep a sphere of influence. And that's all been crushed. And the Lebanon thing is a direct consequence of all that. But I got to tell you, in fairness to the Iranians, right? What started this what started the radical transformation in the Middle East was not Donald Trump. It was the Iranians, and it was greenlighting the October 7th attack on Israel. Because the direct consequence of that was an Israeli attack, not just an Israeli crushing Hamas, but Israelis attacking Iran and demonstrating that they could be defeated militarily. And when Trump jumped on that, that's what just rewrote the whole game.
I think that the question that I know a lot of novices, as I am, have is, what does it look like to see this thing all the way through and to complete the mission here? And is there a political pressure to maybe jump out of it a little too soon?
Yeah. So first of all, I think from a shamelessly American perspective, protecting our interests, the game's already over. We've already won, right? We have destroyed or greatly reduced all the things that made Iran a significant threat to our interests and to the stability of the region. And then the nukes, the surrogates like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the ballistic missile program. So we've already won. What we're doing now is we're just showing off. Literally, Donald Trump is just showing off, right? We didn't have to open the Straits. He's just doing that really to show off, and really send a message to everybody all around the world that I mean what I say. Mm-hmm. He doesn't actually need a deal with the Iranians. He could go back in and mow the grass anytime you want it. You look like you're going to dig up the uranium, we blow them up again. Build a ballistic missile, we blow it up, right? Launch some turret, we kill them all, right? So we could mow the grass, right? He is literally humiliating them to make a deal. I mean, I don't even know. First of all, if the Iranians make a deal, who knows if you can trust them, and who knows if the government's even going to be sensitive. But he's just showing off. Now, I think two things. One is, I do think that in my prediction is that in 3 months, the gas price will be the new price of eggs. Right? Remember, Trump got elected, the price of eggs was high. Everybody was like, oh my God, it's the end of the world as we know it. Like now the price of eggs is like whatever. And in 3 months from now, nobody's going to be talking about the price of gas. But what's more important, and this is something I genuinely think people don't understand, is I think the president is less concerned about the impact of the war on the midterms than everybody else is. And the reason for that is Trump's objective and what's going to help get another Republican reelected in 2028 is, what does the country look like in 2028? That's much, much more important than the midterms. And that is much more determinant about how people will view him and his accomplishments historically. So he's playing. That's one. The other thing is look, presidents lose in the midterm all the time. It doesn't really affect their ability to be president. So that's not as big a deal as people think it is. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is there's the margins are so narrow. Who knows what the issues in these key districts are going to swing on? I don't especially if the price of gas is down. I mean, so the notion that you can control that destiny, you really can't. I mean, you can throw all the money into the district you want. You can get the price of gas down to $1 a gallon. You still might lose.
Yeah.
And so I just don't think it's that this is the crisis for the president that people think he is. And I think what we're seeing is every day, you're basically adding to deterring every enemy we have in the world, saying, oh my God, these Americans are on the march. And, we just need to put our heads down.
Jim Carafano speaking with us. I had this conversation a little bit earlier in the show as well, but I'm looking at the 13 lives lost in the Iran conflict that we're in right now and comparing it to the 13 lives that were lost in the Biden administration's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. And I really am thinking about the sacrifice that anybody who signs up, that they're all making the same commitment. Then, unfortunately, these 26 individuals have met their demise due to it. But in service to their country, Matt, you say this all the time, so I'm just giving you the opportunity to say it again. You are electing a commander-in-chief, and your commander-in-chief really, really matters.
Yeah. So, I'd say some things, first of all, that are kind of insensitive, and I apologize for that. But I mean, nobody has ever fought a war on this scale and had as few casualties as the United States of America. If you actually look at the statistics, we lose more people who die in training accidents and more planes crash in training accidents in a year than in this war. So from a pure standpoint of conserving American lives, what we've done is unbelievable. I mean, the other thing is the lives that were lost in Afghanistan were in vain. I mean, those guys didn't need to die. That mission didn't need to happen the way it did. And I think the one thing people pray for is, I mean, I was in the Army for 25 years. Nobody wants to throw their life away. And when we sign up, the day we sign up, we know we might die. But I think our greatest prayer is, if I die, I want my life to mean something. I don't want to just throw it away on stupid, which is what essentially the withdrawal from Afghanistan was. This conflict, the accomplishments and the benefits to this nation are exactly what military service is all about. But the other thing I would say is these lives are so unbelievably precious and important, not just because it's not just a uniform, it's our brothers and sisters and our people in our family who have done something unbelievably extraordinary. I mean, yeah, they get a paycheck, but I got to tell you, you can get a paycheck anywhere, right?
Yeah.
They serve for the only reason that they serve. It's not about getting a college education or paying off a student loan, or it's about serving to selflessly serve your country. And they are special people, my friend. Yeah. This is not if you look, okay, the casualties are very small, but we've had kids that have been away from home for months. They've been living on ships. They're up 22 hours a day. Some of these guys are flying on almost no sleep. They could die any second. I mean, this is unbelievably selfless service. It's just incredible. So we have to pray and be thankful for what they do, and the notion that we've actually had more people than ever fight to get in the military that's just extraordinary.
We're speaking with Jim Carafano here. Before we let you go, I'm curious about the investment. We're talking about the commitment and the sacrifice that these individuals make. And you said the phrase, they died, there was a vanity to what Joe Biden chose to do, abdicate and removing from Afghanistan. Are we potentially, looking at generational transformation because of President Trump's decision and willingness to go in and denuclearize Iran and to decapitate them? Is it a generational impact?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally could be. You have the potential to completely transform the Middle East. And, remember, for most of our lives, the Middle East was the problem set to always be dealt with. We have the potential to make the Middle East actually an anchor of stability and prosperity. We can do in the Middle East today what was done in Europe after 1945. Where 2 world wars were fought, and then it became an anchor of global stability for so long. And then the rippling it has on our other adversaries like China and Russia shouldn't be discounted. So, yeah, I think this could be the key is to find the sweet spot between being afraid to do anything. This is where the isolationists and restrainers, right? They're always afraid to do anything, everything, and which just invites you to be attacked, right?
Chaos, yeah.
Or to deter yourself, and the overreach that we saw, like in Vietnam or in Iraq and Afghanistan, where people just had goals that were just too ambitious, right? I mean, everybody wants a perfect world. Everybody wants to 100% win. Everyone wants to solve all the problems. Everybody wants the world to be land, milk, and honey. But, at the end of World War II, the Soviets controlled half of Eastern Europe. We didn't say, oh, well, we have to liberate all of Europe from the Soviets now. I mean, we couldn't have done that. I mean, complete overreach. So it's knowing when to stop. It's having the courage to act, but knowing when to stop. That's the true genius of military command. And hopefully we're going to get that right in this conflict.
Well, Jim Carafano, thank you for the insight. We always appreciate you. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye. Senior Counselor to the President and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. He's a great follow on X at JJ Carafano. Quick break. When we come back, Wiggins America back in studio. Things Gen X and elder millennials were taught that are now useless. Or are they? That's what we're going to get to the bottom of. And Wiggins America next.
What's happening now?
We must have the enrichment.